So somehow Deebo Samuel is being linked to the San Francisco 49ers again. I mean, it's like March during free agency all over. Like we're just regurgitating recycling topics at this point, even though training camp is just a mere days away for the 49ers. But I'll play ball. Let's talk about it. Let's hash this out. Deebo Samuel to the 49ers. Will it happen? Does it make sense? And the answer is absolutely not. How does signing Deebo Samuel now or at any point make sense for the 49ers? It doesn't. And I'll tell you why. They already addressed the position pretty nicely this offseason. You know, if you look at the 49ers offseason in totality, just from a roster standpoint, they had a fine one, a damn near excellent one, if I do say so myself. Like, they didn't lose anyone impactful. And if they did, if you want to argue if they did a good job replacing them or just doing somewhat in the aggregate. They didn't lose anyone of impact for the players wise. The only one they did was coaching, and that was Robert Saleh. So Samuel back to the 49ers, like what and what it just makes no sense because you already have your position filled and figured out. You have your expectations. Your vision for the position is already set. Now's training camp is time for you to figure out if that vision's going to come to fruition. Right, you have Mike Evans. Okay, your number one wide receiver is set, done deal. We're not worried about that. And it's not like Deebo Samuel is a wide receiver one, or he never was a wide receiver one. Even in 2021, where he had his unicorn season, he was more of a dual threat / offensive weapon than actually a pure wide receiver one. And then your number two wideout is going to presumably be Ricky Pearsall. That'd probably be your one worry. But Pearsall, when healthy, clears Deebo at this stage of his career. I mean, let's be real. What did Deebo Samuel do last year? He had like a career low in like yards per carry or something like that. He didn't have a good year last year. He started out the season in the first 4, 5, 6 games pretty hot, and then he tapered down. Obviously, I'm sure losing Jaden Daniels for a good portion of the season played a significant role, but I mean, it's clear that Deebo's not that same player anymore that the 49ers loved once growing up and developing. Doesn't have that explosiveness. He doesn't have the speed. Not like he ever had in the first place, but there was something there to be like, wow, he's got that short burst that can make those windows for those running lanes that are limited for like a second and a half to 2 seconds. He can take advantage of them and then try to steer clear and bulldoze his way through. Now it's like, are we even going to get that? Probably not. Because at this stage of the career, what the 49ers need right now isn't that wide back position. They need that guy who can be a separator, create routes, get that yak. That's part of why they drafted Deshaun Stribling, right? Get that yards after the catch. Take one to the house. Home run ability. Deebo doesn't have that anymore. I doubt it. And maybe you could say that 49ers are the only team in the league that can invoke that out of him, that can salvage that out of him. Okay, sure. Maybe there are some drops of juice from the fruit that they can squeeze out of them. But how many drops are you going to get out of them? A couple? You know, Deebo Samuel, if you bring him in, it's going to be in a 1-year deal. And if you bring him in, all he's going to do is steal the reps from the other players. So even if you make the case like, hey, Deebo's going to come at a 1-year, $3.5 million deal, up to $7-8 million in incentives. You think just because he comes cheap, it's like, why not, right? But it's like, no, like at some point you just got the reps matter, the development matters, the long-term plan of the 49ers matters, especially now when they're one of the older teams in the league, especially offensively. You know, take away the defense. The offense, their structure of the offense is predicated on older, aging, back into the career players. Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Mike Evans as well. Trent Williams, I know he's not a skill player, but still, it's like a lot of these core players are up there in age. Have a little bit injury concerns too in their background as well. So what's Deebo gonna do? Just band-aid a position? Maybe. It's just not worth it. It makes no sense, cheap or not. I mean, he's gonna be cheap. He's been a free agent this whole time, and that's the other pushback. Why don't the Commanders want him back? You don't think Jaden Daniels is cool with him? I just watched Quarterback on Netflix, and they have a good relationship. You don't think Jaden Daniels is like, hey, let's bring him back. 1 year, $5 million. They don't want him back. Adam Peters is there. He was there when they drafted him. He was there for all of Deebo's seasons with the 49ers for the most part. There's a reason why they don't want him back. They know him probably better than the 49ers at this point, or the same. He's not good. And look how big this guy is. You see videos of him, like he looks like he's going to be a fullback or a hybrid. He's not going to be a wide back anymore. He's like a hybrid tight end wide receiver. Like, why would you bring him? Just for nostalgia? I think that's the thing that happens all the time with this fan base or the 49ers is they get so caught up with the past, these personal relationship with these players that it's just, let's just get them. It's like, no, let's just stop. Let's stop running it back. Because if you re-sign Deebo at any point, it's going to be run it back 17.0. And how's that been working for you? It hasn't. So stay away from him. It makes no sense. Cheap or not, he's just going to crowd and steal reps away from players who give you long-term benefit and actually helps you towards the future. It makes no sense at all. He's not good anymore. Just stop. Now, I'm also not that naive. Keyword, that naive. Key phrase is that there is a realm where a scenario that Deebo could come back to the 49ers. I don't see it happening anytime soon, but the scenario where I can see him come back is, you get towards the end of training camp. If Deebo Samuel, is still a free agent, because guess what? All these top receiver free agents like Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill. I know Tyreek Hill probably not going to be available for another few months, but there are a few options there that some teams who are not impressed with their wide receiver position or injuries take place, that now it's like, okay, we got to call these guys. Are you in shape? Can you get down the playbook within a few weeks? Let's go. Let's get it. And obviously, if you're Samuel, if you have that option, of course you're going to the 49ers. You know at least half the playbook, even if it has changed. And it's not going to be difficult for you to reintegrate yourself in Kyle Shanahan's offense. So I think that's the scenario for the 49ers. And Samuel to get back together is obviously, number one, if he's still a free agent. Number two, how's the injuries are looking? Because Ricky Pearsall, number one, is the biggest concern, probably on that entire offense. Like, he's never made it through a training camp healthy. It's always his hamstring. The brother has hamstrings are made out of carnitas. Like, they're just coming off the bone every year since he's been drafted. This guy's injury prone. So can he make it through a training camp healthy for once? He needs to. Because this year's the defining one for his fifth-year option. He probably get picked up. So he's a key role in whether Deebo comes back or not. And then I think most importantly is Evans healthy? Because while Evans is a beast, assuming he still has it, this is the part of his career. He's going to be 33 years old, I believe, when the season starts. His body could be beginning to break down. So I think if you have a culmination of those injuries, especially one to Mike Evans, you're going to probably take, hey, Deebo, how much to get you here? We'll give you $5 million off the bat, off the rip. Come through. That's probably what it'll take. I wouldn't be shocked if even an injury to McCaffrey is what brings the 49ers to sign Deebo, because you'll give him 3 to 4 carries a game. Because that running back group behind McCaffrey isn't the most inspiring. You're pretty much relying on rookies. Kalen Black's obviously a rookie, and Jordan James is essentially one too. So at least you get that veteran to cycle in and out. It probably won't be that efficient. It'll probably be a waste of downs, but they'll at least be like, hey, we got to try. We got to do something. At least we know Deebo can do something to give our offense still some dynamic that we lose with McCaffrey, because he was that pass-catching back, can do very versatile things. So it really just comes down to the injuries. Is Deebo still available? And then how disappointing is the wide receiver group? Because while the reason why you don't sign Deebo now is because you want to give that runway to your young players who you want to see. Because this is the time where you see what you have in these guys. They did well during OTAs. So, cool. What did you do during the summer break? And can you put that together in training camp and the preseason? I'm talking about you, Jordan Watkins, Jacob Cowing. Because right now, I don't know if Jacob Cowing's making the team. And Jordan Watkins had some hype last season in training camp. Let's see if he can do it again, pick it up. If these young guys aren't doing it, if Demarcus Robinson, if for some reason the 49ers like Deebo Samuel back to Demarcus Robinson, maybe you do a swap, but that would probably be a little... That's a little too much shuffling right there. It makes no sense. You swap one in for the other. At least Demarcus Robinson is the better pure wide receiver at this point, I think. So yeah, I think there's just multiple factors that would come through to make Deebo a reality. And because it takes so many factors to align, that it's why I wouldn't put that scenario more than than a 10% chance of it happening. So 49ers are the only team that makes sense for Deebo Samuel, which is funny because I remember I saw ESPN analyst, former NFL GM Mike Tannenbaum call for the 49ers to sign Stephon Diggs. And it's like, first of all, they don't need a wide receiver at this time, obviously, as I just stated earlier. And if there's going to be any wide receiver they want to bring in, it's going to be Deebo Samuel. It's going to be Deebo Samuel as a free agent, but they're not going to bring him in. They're not going to bring any receiver. I think they're actually fine there. It's actually probably their most secured position on offense at this point. It's funny because it went from easily the worst position going into the offseason. Now it's like one of the most secured on the team. And probably the most secured on offense. Outside of quarterback, because you got Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. That's pretty nice to have. So, just ridiculous to bring this up. This was something talked about during March. But once you sign Mike Evans, that pretty much killed it. And once you draft, I think it not only killed it, but once it only emphasized it and just buried it further. It killed it and then buried it further once you drafted Deshaun Stribling too. So enough of that. If Pearsall gets hurt, Stribling, what do you got? Let's see. We called you one of the best. We were going to draft you in the first round for a reason. Let's see what you got. I'm looking forward to that and see who else steps up. That'd be the way to do it. So enough of this Deebo Samuel nonsense. For him to come to the 49ers would take several factors to align. And even if they do, I'm not sure if that's the route you want to go anyways.